The Supreme Court today striking down affirmative action programs at Harvard and the University of North Carolina. This means universities can no longer use race as a factor in their admissions process. Sharon Crowley here now with the latest reaction to this. Sharon.
Yeah, Teresa and Steve, a divided Supreme Court declaring race cannot be a factor and forcing institutions of higher education to look for new ways to achieve diverse student bodies. Now, the justices ruled along conservative majority lines, 6-3 in the UNC case and 6-2 in the Harvard case. The ruling, of course, has far-reaching implications.
The Supreme Court ruling universities can no longer use affirmative action when deciding whether a student should be admitted to an institution of higher learning.
And I strongly disagree with the court's decision.
In the majority opinion, Chief Justice John Roberts wrote that university programs must comply with strict scrutiny. They may never use race as a stereotype or negative, and at some point, they must end.
Chief Justice Roberts has said for years that the best way to stop discrimination is to stop discriminating.
The court had allowed race to be used as a factor in admissions for decades, so long as a school didn't use quotas. Today, the High Court specifically found that Harvard and the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill had discriminated against white and Asian American applicants by using race-based admissions policies in their attempts to promote diversity.
State institutions as well have to finally respect the fact that race should not be a part of the decision-making. The check-the-box system is over, dead, and buried.
In her dissent, Justice Sonia Sotomayor wrote, the court cements a superficial rule of color blindness as a constitutional principle in an endemically segregated society where race has always mattered and continues to matter. On the campus of Harvard University, many also objecting to the Supreme Court's ruling.
I'm infuriated and speechless. This is just racism. It's just racism with a very thin veil.
Here in New York City, a parents group fighting for the rights of Asian students has long opposed affirmative action. They're now applauding the High Court's ruling.
I think it's long overdue, the decision to end affirmative action, or put in other words, admissions to school by racial criteria rather than by the merit of each student. That is what we've been fighting against in New York City.
Well, the Supreme Court is still expected to rule on some very consequential cases before it goes on break until October. One pending case is President Biden's plan to forgive more than $400 billion of student loan debt. And in another case, the High Court is deciding whether the First Amendment allows a web designer who objects to same-sex marriages to violate a state law that prohibits discrimination based on sexual orientation. So a lot to watch for, especially tomorrow.
Yeah, indeed. Busy times. All right. Thanks, Sharon. Well,